So, so even though his general intellectual approach is similar to some of these past books, this feels what's new about his details. That, you know, if you read like the Mega Machine and Mumford, I guess there's really more an argument about like political power. It's like the way the pharaohs organized the entire culture around the production of the pyramids, right? Or Ellul falls more, I guess. I mean, everyone's read that book, but it's also kind of hard to fully make sense of it. But like, I mean, not as hard as Heidegger, but I guess like Ellul, you know, when we talk about technique, it's more about this obsession with like process and efficiency. And trying to, but it's sort of more of, you know, it's very French. Is like, well, that's, you know, this is not a culture, this is the wrong culture, whatever, but it's not really about limits, right? It's about the wrong people, you know, are in charge. The wrong people are taking, you know, advantage. So this, I guess this is where the environmental strain, if I understand this right, is making Kingsnorth's argument more unique, because that he's coming at it from a degrowth perspective. Which is very different than some of the other 20th century thinkers. Okay. Okay, so interesting. So he writes this book. It's and this is, by the way, why like part of what's fascinating about it, if you read this book, is that like his politics are incoherent in like a 21st century context. They're very coherent in terms of what you just said, but as you mentioned, if you're like, we need limits, the return to like what we are as a core as humanity, you're going to have things in there that the right will really dislike, like anti-capitalism, you know, like, look, we economic growth is no good. We need to like push back on that. Really strong sort of aesthetic environmental messages, which you're not going to like if you're on the right. But if you're on the left, you're really not going to like him saying like a lot of gender experimentation is like, that's the same as like unlimited economic growth, right? Like
transhumanism. He's basically transhumanism.
That we throw that in there. And that he's, you know, there's sort of like a nationalist strain in there. Like, we need to sort of return to, you know, we're a part of a particular place and we're like connected to that place. He's anti-mass immigration. It's so because if you're thinking about things through limits, just like everyone goes everywhere and it's this global cosmopolitan community, you know, like that doesn't make sense. Those politics are incoherent on like a modern scale. So how is that? I mean, I thought you handled it really well in your piece. You're basically like, yes, let's not get in the weeds there. Like, what matters is like, what is the framework he has that like maybe leads to that seeming incoherence. Let's stick with the main argument. I think other coverage had a little bit harder time with it. So how did that affect what's going on when this book landed?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think people view the politics of the book as incoherent. I actually would make the inverse case, that the politics of the book are very coherent, and that the politics that dominate particularly American society are extraordinarily incoherent, right? I mean, the point I always make is that, other people before me, I mean, Michael Lind has made this point, but like the Republican Party historically, like pre-Trump, is very anti-limit on the economy and very pro-limit on culture. The left has been very anti-limit on culture and very pro-limit on the economy, right? And so you have this like schizophrenic mismatching on each side of like a pro-limit disposition on the economy or culture married with an anti-limit disposition on the other hand, right? And Kingsnorth is like just anti-limit across the board, right? Like, because the left and right are often like libertarian about culture economics, but anti-libertarian about the other term, and he's just like sort of like anti-libertarian across the board. We need to draw limits. We need to have limits to our economy. We need to have like, work within a national context and culture and a nation state. We need to be opposed to the constant intrusion into both, human nature, viewing our bodies and the natural world alike as things to be engineered and optimized, right? So I think his politics are actually remarkably coherent, and I think it's only the basically ideological disorder of, American politics in particular that make him confusing,
I think you see that confusion in some of the reviews. I think people are just literally confused. Like, I'm not quite sure what to do here. Like, I like this, but this doesn't make sense. Wait, is he a bad guy? But maybe he's not. Right. Maybe I need to condescend. My home publication, The New Yorker, tends to do that. That tends to be our MO sometimes. Is like, oh, I'm going to have to kind of condescend to this about this person because I'll just point out the ways that like he is incoherent or hypocritical, and then I'm the cool guy. Yeah, it is interesting. So, but what is his